Hey everybody, welcome back. It's me again, Appalachian Cemetery Hunting, and we're going to do a part 2 of the Cades Cove Primitive Baptist Church Cemetery. So far, we've uncovered a lot of history. So, let's get started and see what else we can find in this cemetery. The first one we have is Drury Andrew Gregory, 1818 to 1875, and he served in the Civil War. We don't know which side. We have James Elias, also known as Bud Gregory, 1855 to 1936, with his wife Sarah Ellen Hodge Gregory, 1861 to 1932. Now we have a picture of them with their children, Mary Angeline, known as Angie, Gregory, and Willard Alvin Gregory. Then we have Lee Reagan Gregory, 1815 to 1848, Ronald Hugh Gregory, 1938 to 2017, and Ronald was a veteran of the U.S. Army, having served with the 503rd Engineering Company in Germany. Then we have Ruth Shields Gregory, 1852 to 1927. And here's a photo of her and her husband and just one of their children. Next is Samuel Thomas, known as Sam Gregory, 1879 to 1907. Now the inscription on his headstone reads, "Farewell, dear parents and all, from you a son Christ doth call." That's sweet. Now we have Susan Mariah Whitehead Gregory, 1880 to 1929. Rutha Oliver Gregory Birchfield, 1833 to 1891. And the picture shows the top of her original headstone on the ground with the base in the background. Her newer stone is near the head of the grave. Now we have William Hamby, 1744 to 1840. And William served as a private in the North Carolina militia during the American Revolution. And now we have Philip Matthew, known as Uncle Phil Ledbetter, 1962 to 2021. Now, if you know Phil, he's a very awesome artist, a bluegrass artist. Here's a photo of him, very popular here in this area. He was a multi-talented bluegrass musician. He performed with many legends and genre including J.D. Crowe. He also performed with the country music legends like Vern Gosdin and Grandpa Jones. He was nominated for a Grammy in 1990 along with his bandmates in J.D. Crowe and the New South. He was a 3-time winner on the Dobro Player of the Year Award presented by the International Bluegrass Music Association. And when he was a teenager, he was invited to perform at the White House as a member of the Knoxville Newgrass Boys. Now, apart from his noted role in J.D. Crowe and the New South, he was founding member of Wildfire Grasstown, Flashback, and Phil Ledbetter and the All-Stars of Bluegrass. He also performed with noticed bluegrass artists such as the Whites and Dale Ann Bradley. In 2003, Gibson Guitars issued a Phil Ledbetter signature model, Dobro, in his honor. And I know Phil was good friends of ours with Steve Gully. If you guys know him, he passed away, I think maybe a year before Phil did. So he was also good friends with him, and we sure do miss him. So next we have Fred Daniel LaQuire, 1897 to 1940, and his brother Willie LaQuire, 1892 to 1894. And according to Fred's death certificate, he unfortunately committed suicide with a shotgun. That's sad. So we're just going to stop right here for a second, and if you know anyone who might be considering suicide, or if you need help, you can call the number shown right here. It's helped a lot of people, and people get in dark places in their minds sometimes. So be sure to reach out before you do something. All right, let's move along. We got Harriet Bowers LaQuire, 1841 to 1901. Here's a photo of her with her husband, Isaac W., known as Ike LaQuire, 1840 to 1912, and one of their children. Here's his headstone. And according to a post that we found, he served in the Confederate Army during the Civil War. Now we have Daniel H. Myers, 1819 to 1880. He served in the 15th District Home Guard during the Civil War. We have Daniel Hamilton, known as Uncle Dan Myers Jr., 1859 to 1939, and his wife, Lorena Angeline, known as Babe, Gregory Myers, 1859 to 1898. Now this is a photo of him standing by his bee gums. And here's a picture of him taken in 1937, standing in front of some of his bee gums also. Now we have Daniel Sherman Myers, 1888 to 1952, and his wife, Paralee Greg Birchfield Myers, 1897 to 1995. We have a picture of their marriage license, and she had just turned 14 years old when they got married. And that was nothing new in the Appalachian Mountains, maybe across the country. They married young back then, but they stuck together most of the time. And this is a photo of him with Levi Myers on your left. And here's a picture of Sherman with his wife, Paralee, on his right, and an unknown woman. And now we have Ethel L. Myers, 1903 to 1906. And bless her little heart, she was only 3 years old when she passed away. And we do have a picture of her. We have Peter Adam Myers, 1859 to 1916. And look at that beautiful carving on his headstone. I love those carvings. We have Randall Douglas, known as Randy Myers, 1959 to 2010. And Randy, according to the carving on his headstone, was a veteran of the U.S. Navy. And we have his picture. There's Sarah Margaret, known as Maggie Shields Myers, 1856 to 1940. And just look at the intricate carving on her stone. Isn't that pretty? And here's a photo of her. We have Elijah Oliver, 1829 to 1905, and his wife, Mary Jane Lawson Oliver, 1880 to 1898. And we actually have a picture of their cabin, but we believe it was originally built by John Jackson, known as Jackie Anthony, and he was 1795 to 1880, who was in our last video. So you can go back and look at that. We have Elizabeth Jane Gregory Oliver, 1858 to 1925, and her husband William Howell Oliver, 1857 to 1940. Here's a family picture taken around 1900, and they are seated in the very front row. Here's a picture of him. And William was a pastor of the Trinity Baptist Church in Cades, Cove. Next, you'll see Jasper Oliver, 1870 to 1896, and you'll notice his hand-carved headstone. Then there's John Oliver Jr., 1793 to 1864, and his wife, Lorena Fraser Oliver, 1795 to 1888. And this is a picture of their ledger stone. It says that they were the first permanent white settlers of Cades Cove. So there you go, first settlers right there. John even served as a private in Captain Adam Winsel's company of the East Tennessee Militia during the War of 1812. He also took part in the Battle of Horseshoe Bend in March of 1814. And John said later in life that he was among the first group to cross the Indian breastworks during the battle. And Andrew Jackson later wrote that fighting was so close that the enemy's musket balls were welded to the men's bayonets. Can you imagine that? And a lot of the fighting was fierce hand-to-hand combat. And here's a picture of their cabin. John and Lorraine moved into Cades Cove in either 1817 or 1818, we're not sure, but the first white people who visited the cove found an Indian living there by the name of Cade. K-A-D-E, Cade. Either they or the Indians in the area called it Cades Cove. Later, the spelling was changed to Cades with a C, Cove. That's interesting. So now we know where Cades Cove got its name. Let's move on. We've got John Walter Oliver, 1878 to 1966. And the inscription on his headstone reads, "My brother preachers, boldly speak and stand on Zion's wall to revive the strong, confirm the weak, and after sinners called." Here's a picture of him with his family taken in 1900 in Cades Cove. Now, he was a young man standing in the middle of the back row. His parents, William Howe Oliver and Elizabeth Jane Gregory Oliver, they are seated in the same front there. We looked at them earlier, so remember them. And then the photo shows him as a young man around the turn of the 20th century. And then we have a picture of him and his wife, Nancy Ann Whitehead Oliver. We also have a picture of him that was probably taken in the 1930s or 40s. And here's a picture of him sitting in the middle of some bee boxes. And here he's sitting on the porch, what we think might be his old home place. And now we have his wife, Nancy Ann Whitehead Oliver, 1878 to 1948. And the inscription on her stone says, "Wife of Elder John W. Oliver, my loving wife, my bosom friend, the object of my love. The time's been sweet I've spent with you, my sweet and harmless love." That's beautiful. And here's a picture of her. Next is Lazarus Oliver, 1827 to 1902. And here's a photo of his original headstone. And you can see that it was hand-carved. Now, Mary Oliver, she was born in 1809, but we can't find a death date for her. The headstone was hand-carved, but you can barely read the inscription. So I'm going to give you just a few seconds here to look at that. And now we have Mary McDaniel Oliver, 1824 to 1871. She has a hand-carved headstone as well, and she was the wife of Lazarus Oliver that we looked at just a minute ago. We have William Thomas Oliver, 1837 to 1901, And according to what someone posted on the Find a Grave website, he fought for the Confederacy during the Civil War. Next is Alfred D. Potter, 1835 to 1871. Alfred served as a private in Company H of the 3rd Tennessee Infantry in the Union Army during the Civil War. We have Davis Potter, 1833 to 1915. And Davis served in Company D of the 2nd Tennessee Cavalry in the Union Army during the Civil War also. We actually got a photo of him. Now we have George Washington Powell, 1840 to 1923. George served as a corporal in the Company B of the 6th Tennessee Infantry in the Union Army during the Civil War. And here's a photo of him. Now is James Proctor, 1834 to 1910. He served as a private in Company D of the 62nd North Carolina Infantry in the Confederate Army during the Civil War. Now, he had been taken prisoner during the war. And we've got a picture of him standing in front of what might have been some kind of barn. Now is James Newton Proctor, 1874 to 1948. And here's his photo. And then here's a picture of him and his family. And I'll just give you just a few seconds here to look at that and slow it down just a little bit. And we have another picture of him. Next is Anderson Sands, 1795 to 1871. Adeline Vina Carroll Shields, 1867 to 1947. And her husband, Andrew Jackson, known as Andy Shields, 1863 to 1926. And we have a picture of them. We also have a photo of him holding a couple of huge snakes. Look at that. Oh my goodness. Notice the caption at the bottom of the picture. It says, "Snake Charmer." No thank you. That's okay. And here's another picture of him showing that he's holding a flintlock rifle. That's pretty cool. And we also have another picture showing him and his family in 1925, and that was just a year before his death. Snake Charmer. That's unbelievable. Okay, now we have Andrew Witt Shields, 1850 to 1919. And here's a photo of him. And this is a picture of his house in Cades, Cove. We have his wife, Anna Catherine, known as Annie Walker Shields, 1857 to 1896. And then the last person that we're going to look at in this week's video is Emily Ellen Adams Shields, 1824 to 1907. And we're going to have to stop because we don't want these videos to get so long that it's taking, your time watching them and you get bored with it. So next week, Lord's willing, we're going to do part 3 of this cemetery, and that will probably finish it up. Maybe. We just got to see what we, can find. Dig that history up. We appreciate you watching. And again, this was the Primitive Baptist Church Cemetery in Cades, Cove, Tennessee. Beautiful little area, but loads of history there. So be sure to hit the like and subscribe. Just subscribe with your friends. Get that notification button. We would really appreciate it. And we will see you next time. Same time. I'm not going to do the back channel, but anyway, we'll try to get this out for you, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.